Hey everybody! Today I wanted to show you how to make this beautiful 3D rose, and what we're doing is we're really using the Rose Garden framelits and just creating our own 3D, you can turn it into a sticker or just sort of a 3D pop-up image on a card. And I'm trying to rotate this here for you to see the actual dimension in the rose. And before I get to that, I wanted to show you a couple of options because this rose actually requires you to cut the rose several times in order to achieve the tiers on the rose, and that all depends on how high you want it to be. In this specific rose, I went as high as 3 layers, and I'll explain what I mean in a moment, but depending on how many layers you want, that's how many roses you'd have to cut in order to achieve that many layers for one single petal. Before I get to that, so there's no waste after you do these roses, there are several things that you can do. The basic thing is really, if you cut 2 roses out of 2 different colors of cardstock, you can alternate your outlined piece along with the petals. So in this case, I cut 1 rose in Blushing Bride and 1 rose in Pink Pirouette, and what I did was I just switched out the petals with the outline. On this one, you could see the shimmer. What I did was I added Wink of Stella onto the petals just to give it a little extra. And on this one, I have a leaf over here attached, and this is as not to waste the cutouts when you do some of the leaves on the rose here. And here I used Pear Pizzazz, Old Olive and Always Artichoke. And so that you don't, when you cut these out, so that you don't lose the frame of the leaf, even though bits and pieces of it are cut off, you can just tuck it behind a rose and use it later on. And the same goes with the actual rose. When you cut it out in colors, you're going to end up with several outlines. Well, we're not going to throw these out because we can do plenty with them. Here's a couple of extra leaves that I did when I cut the 2 colors out in cardstock for this rose. Remember, since you're using parts of this one and parts of this one, you're going to be able to make 2. So you'll see me using the second half on the rose we're going to work on today. You can take these and then attach them to a rose if you cover the back with either designer paper or a different colored cardstock, or if you switch the colors or with whatever leftover pieces you have from the petals, you fill in another rose outline, you can just add this to the back. And see how there are different parts that are cut off here? All you have to do is kind of hide those and then just put a piece of tear and tape on the back to cover that up. Okay, let's get to our rose. And what I've done is I've done some of the prep work. Since I have already done 1, I had leftover leaf cutouts, so I've already started today's rose. I took the little parts of the leaves and already alternated them in here, so you'll notice that whatever color is in these sections, the opposite is here, so that I used the same cutout for both roses and you don't get any waste. As for the actual petals, all my red petals have gone into these 2 alternating pieces, so I didn't have any waste. So I'm going to use different colors today. I've gone into the blues, move this over, keep this over here, and I'm using the Pool Party, Island Indigo, and Bermuda Bay. You can use, if you like, Soft Sky, Marina Mist, and Lost Lagoon. I mean, those are different options. And what I've done is I've already cut them out in the 3 colors of cardstock, and I've peeled back the outlines off too, and I just wanted to finish the last one in front of you just to show you a couple of things. And really what I'm doing is I'm just holding down the petals, and if you've watched my last video, you'll know that I'm using press and seal here to hold all these pieces down so they don't move anywhere. Now on this rose, you see that I actually have a part of the petal cut off on the detail. That's okay. I'm not going to worry about that. That's something I can cover up with either a butterfly. You can put a saying right on top. It's not that big of a deal, but I can use this. So I'm going to set this aside. Now with the 3 colors, you're going to choose what color you want on which petals. Now I usually like to work from dark to light, and you can do that in either direction. You can go dark in the middle, lighter and lightest, or you can go dark on the outside, lighter and lightest. It really doesn't matter. In this rose, I actually mix the colors, which is also an option if you're using 2 colors. If you're using 3, you might want to change your shades. For example, if you were using yellow, you could use So Saffron, Daffodil Delight, and Crushed Curry, and start either in the center and work your way out, or start from the outside and work your way in. So let's go ahead and get started. Now with these, an easy thing you can do is decide, whoops, didn't want to move that, decide where you want your darkest petals. I think I'm going to start darkest on the outside of my rose. So what I'm going to do is make sure that the darkest color has everything pressed into my press and seal, and I'm going to take my 2A glue pen, and I'm going to put the glue on some of these petals, and I really don't count which ones I'm going to do, so let's just start with 3 and then see what the flower looks like. And all I have to do is flip the entire piece over carefully and lay this onto the outline I've already cut out. And you do this very carefully, remembering which petals you've covered with glue on the back side, and you're going to press those into place. There's 1, there's 2, and there's my 3rd. And then you're carefully going to remove the press and seal off those 3 petals, kind of holding the petals down with your fingers. And that keeps all of your other petals intact on the press and seal, so you don't have pieces roaming all over the place. And now you can just adjust these, because you have a couple seconds to do that, so you don't see the cardstock on the back. Now don't worry about this cardstock, this can get trimmed later. So just press these in there, make sure they're adhered. And one thing you don't want to do and be careful of is getting 2A glue on the press and seal, because it will stick and tear your outline and your cardstock. So what I'm doing now is sort of giving myself a an idea of where I want the next color to be, and choose which petals I want that color on. And you can work with this as you go. So I think for this color, I'm going to choose this one. Remember, and on this you'll know not to choose these because they're missing from here, so you just don't want to pick the same ones. And I like to do just 3 at a time. You don't want the glue to dry. Again, you're going to turn this over. And remember which way you're going. and push those particular petals into place. And then just peel back again. Ah, this one's getting stuck. Okay. And okay. Now I accidentally held this one down. Very simple to put it back. All you do is bring back your outline, pop this into place, and put this back on your press and seal where it belongs. Push it in and remove the outline. Simple. Okay, so now I'm just going to make sure that these 3 petals are pressed in, and keep going with the look that I want. I think I still want a couple of dark petals out here, so I think those 3 I'm going to keep dark. Now, one thing you could do if you wanted to, I mean, it'll take a longer time, and that is to use tweezers to pick up each of these individual pieces if you didn't want to deal with the stickiness of the press and seal on your cardstock. But for me, I'm fine with that, and I think it's a little bit faster. I can get 3 pieces down at once rather than individually picking them off of the press and seal. Okay. Okay, I'm going to make this a 2-part video, and right now I'm going to go ahead and finish the first layer. I will prep my other layers to make the 3D, and I will come back. Just remember that here I did with the leaves the same technique you see me doing right now. So I'll see you in the next video.